Are you ready to practice? Well, you need your brain in about 6 minutes of time. You need either a pen and paper or a mind map app. So let's get started and stop the process of forgetting what you already learned. I'll walk you through the process and you can hit pause each time as necessary. First off, your seed term in this case is LAN switching. So at phase 1, you just make a list of both the terms you can think of, and if you can't think of the term, any related concepts, leave a short description. Take at most 2 minutes. You can hit pause now and go to it. Phase 2, now it's time to make your mind map. So you've got your list, you've got your seed term. So write your seed term somewhere in the middle of your workspace on paper or in the mind map app. Any terms or concepts that go together, group those together and connect those to the seed term. Any terms that don't really go with other terms, you can just put those around. You can put things closer or further apart, depending on how close the relationship is. All right, you can hit pause in the video. I'll give you a few seconds to do that and do the work. For phase 3, compare your list in mind map to this list that I came up with. I used most of these in my video that describes the concepts, but I may have put some terms in this list that I didn't use in the video. Like I'm pretty sure that in the center bottom of those lists, aging and aging timer, I didn't happen to use those in the original video. So be warned, there might be a few extras in here, but you can compare this list to yours and decide if you want to add to your mind map. As usual, you got 5 seconds to hit pause and go do it before I move on. First off, LAN switching is the seed term. It's in the middle. Those are the 5 terms I arranged around it. I'm going to start in the upper right and go clockwise. And core is not really a term. I just needed a word to say, well, what's the core part of LAN switching? And I used the form of the words without the ing on the end. So there's learning, forwarding, filtering, and flooding. I don't think I used the word filter in the video, actually. But there's learning MAC table entries, and there's forwarding frames based on the logic of making a match in the table or not. Flooding is what happens when you don't match a unicast address in the table or when it's a broadcast frame. And filter is an archaic term that's meaning, hey, if you forward out one port, you're not forwarding out other ports. You're, quote, filtering on those ports, by the way. Then the MAC table itself, well, there's a lot of interesting stuff there. And we talked mainly about the MAC address and either the port or interface, both terms used synonymously. For the entries in the MAC table, I didn't really harp on it, but I think I mentioned briefly that the VLAN ID would be there. We just haven't talked about that if you're following the videos sequentially so far. And a term I know I didn't mention is this idea of an aging timer. The entries in the table are dynamic and they time out when they're not used for a while, default 5 minutes. So that's where I organize that term if you wanted to organize it there yourself once you learn about that. So frames and addresses both have these tags of unicast, broadcast, and multicast. So they're unicast, broadcast, multicast addresses, and frames that use those addresses as the destination are called unicast, broadcast, or multicast frames, respectively. Then arrival port, I didn't have any place to categorize it, so it's just hanging out there by itself. So again, it's not that you need to then go, reorganize like my map. It's just an example of how my brain right now is organizing this material. Thanks for doing this terminology mind map activity. Hope you found it useful. As usual, subscribe and click the bell if you're new here. But if you're not new, you know what I want. Leave me your comments, give me a like if you liked it, and share around the internet to help others find out about the channel. It's much appreciated. Thanks for hanging out.